Hey everybody, we're the Good Doctors of Abbey Research. I'm Dr. Kristen.
And I'm Dr. Erin.
You are so welcome. You have no idea how welcome to our YouTube video today, where we are going to be talking about one of my favorite movies of all time. We talk about movies a lot around here because we are two social scientists who are trained to think about culture from a bigger, systemic, larger, 65,000 foot view. Pick your thing. But we love talking about culture, how humans interact with it, how they shape it, how they form it, how it shapes them and forms them. We have all these kind of conversations. And we love talking to each other, do it all the time. But we turn on the recording devices for y'all because we also really love to have the conversations with you. So if you enjoyed today's conversation, please do the YouTube-y things, like, subscribe, hit the bell so you don't miss a single thing, comment below, and we would love for you to enter our conversation.
We are in the midst of a special coverage here on the Abbey Research platforms during Olympic season, Olympic and Paralympic season in the world, since we had Tokyo 2020 Olympics just now. It confused the heck out of me that they kept saying everything was 2020, but whatever. They were the 2020 Olympics happening in 2021. We're in between, as we're filming this, the Olympics and the Paralympics, and we're talking about Olympics because there's a lot to talk about. So we've done some documentaries. We're interspersing within those documentaries our favorite films. Today, the 1992 90s absolute classic
Banger of a film
from Disney, Cool Runnings. Full disclosure, neither of us have rewatched this for the filming. I probably needed to. Dr. Kristen did not, because she's got it all memorized, folks. So this is going to be the Dr. Kristen show, and I might interject if something she says sparks a memory. I remember watching Cool Runnings a lot when I was a kid. I remember loving it. I remember being very inspired by it. It is a quintessential inspirational Olympic story.
And it's like a Disney sports movie. It's like this one, Remember the Titans, Mighty Ducks, Miracle, which we'll talk about in a couple weeks. So yeah, so this is the story of the 1988 Jamaican bobsled team that was real. It's a true story.
It's a real story.
Essentially what happened is a couple of Jamaican sprinters were tripped each other during the Summer Olympic trials, still wanted to get to the Olympics, and so they found a washed up bobsledder played by John Candy, the late, great John Candy, who agreed to give them an Olympic berth. Essentially, if they could qualify, they could go because there's not going to be any competition
from Jamaica.
So agrees to train them. We have a bobsled team is four dudes. We learn a lot about bobsledding in this that I certainly didn't know before.
I didn't know a lot about bobsled.
I knew zero about bobsled, although this also came out when I was 10. So I'm not sure I would have learned about bobsled prior to that, prior to the release. It did release when I was 9 or 10.
Before my class on bobsledding.
Yes. So the 1988 Calgary Olympics is where it was held. It was also a very wintry winter that year. We have a lot of Winter Olympics since then that may not be so wintry because of climate change. But this one was quite cold.
Winter's a big deal in Alberta, folks.
Yeah, big deal. Not so much a big deal in Jamaica. So they get there. Spoiler alert for a 28-year-old movie. They do not medal, but they finish. They qualify and they finish.
Yeah.
And in doing so, they honestly inspire the world. They're one of the great Olympic stories from that year.
Yeah.
In like, if you're like us and you really, really loved the wee girl from Alaska who got the first gold medal from Alaska, Suni Lee getting the Olympic all around after over mental, all the junk of her past and blah, 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 blah. We love these Olympic stories. Yeah. And the 1988 Jamaica bobsled team is certainly one of them. So yeah. There's a lot in this movie. There's like one of the guys has a really rich father and wants to be doing this. And the father's like, no, you have to be a banker. And he gets, love from his teammates to stand up to his dad. We have some absolutely quotable lines like, hey, Sanka, you dead yet? Like big reference in that. But the scene that I will always talk about, and the reason I wanted to talk about it here in the conversation, is between John Candy and Doris Bannock, who is the main character. And Doris is single-minded, very focused. He's the leader. Yeah. Like he's the captain of this. Everybody else is out kind of having a good time. And Doris is in the bathtub practicing the turns. Like he's that guy. But in his absolute desperation to win, he starts looking at the teams that are good at bobsledding, like the Swiss, and stealing things from them that don't make any sense to the culture of the Jamaican team, that don't make any sense to his teammates because they're not in his brain. And he just tells them they have to do these things like counting in Swiss and kind of doing all this stuff. And he does the thing that lots and lots of people do, which is when you have a goal, you lose sight of how you got there. So he forgets who he is, just flat out. Forgets what is magic about being Jamaican. Forgets that the whole town, the whole village they're from, fundraised to get them there. Like this, being Jamaican is a special and unique thing. And instead of harnessing that power, he tried to harness the power of being Swiss. It's not Swiss. So like everybody pushes off and the Swiss do ein, zwei, drei, and then jump in. So they try to do that in Jamaica. It's disastrous. Doesn't go well. His teammates are kind of like all bobbling around. The media is making fun of them. We have a video back home and the wives are like, it's not going great. So then John Candy and Doris Bannock who's played by a gentleman named Leon, have a heart-to-heart. And the line that I have that has stuck with me and actually like imprinted in me is this conversation about how great a gold medal is. But if you are nothing without the gold medal, you'll be nothing with it. And for me, at the impressionable age of 10, and somebody who at that time was obsessed with the Olympics, I was still swimming. I was like, I was never going to be an Olympic swimmer, guys. I didn't love it enough to do the work ethic, but like I dreamed of it. Like watching the 1992 Barcelona games, I saw Janet Evans and I thought about standing on that. I had state records. I thought I was the business. And I am somebody who likes attention and has forever. And so I could very much see myself in Doris as this person that would work, that would do whatever it took to get to be famous in a way. And if you're not anything without the gold medal, you'll be nothing with it, has been one of the plumb lines throughout my life and throughout my adolescence of trying very hard to get people to like me that were never going to like me, of dating boys who were not very nice to me. If I was nothing without this thing that I pretended was going to fix everything, I'm not anything with it. And ultimately, they remember who they are. They're Jamaican. There's a great little chant that my brother and I do all the time. Feel the rhythm, feel the ride. Come on up, it's bobsled time. And most people in our generation, if you say feel the rhythm in a certain rhythm, will finish the chant, because VHSs were very popular when we were growing up and we all watched these until they wore out. Disney used to actually have a vault. They don't really anymore. And so like all this
Disney
stuff
Channel
was nothing to what it is now.
Yeah.
So that's kind of in terms of the Olympics, and I've watched it, obviously. I've watched every Olympic Games since then. I've watched this movie somewhere around 1,900 times. My brother and I have had conversations about when we're going to introduce it to his children, because it is such a formative part of our childhoods. That's my question to you. What is your gold medal? And what is the thing that you are chasing that you've told yourself, if you get it, everything will be great? And ask yourself, if you don't see that you're enough now, how will you see you're enough then? Because your worth as a human is innate and beautiful and gorgeous and not attached to medals, achievements, letters, speaking engagements, bank accounts, whatever it is. If you're not enough without it, you won't be enough with it.
I was not prompted to think of anything better than what Dr. Kristen just said. I'm just cut me out of this one. I don't have anything to add to that. I don't have a deep philosophical or emotional connection to Cool Runnings. I think it's really important to have films that talk about identity and the way that we see ourselves, and the way that is shaped by outside forces and ideas and goals. And it was certainly a powerful, it's one of those, remember who you are, Simba kind of movies. We got a lot of those. We always do when we're kids, but we got a lot of those in the 90s. And it was one of those that has stuck with a lot of us because that message is universal. And that's one of the things about the Olympics as well, because it's so much about nationalism and pride and jingoism and ethnocentrism to a certain extent when you follow those rabbit trails too far. But it is a lot about national pride and coming together and celebrating achievements of people. And I think we're starting to have more conversations. We're still doing the medal count and focusing a lot on who wins what medal. But I think, especially coming through this Olympics, and I know you'll agree with me, we've done a lot more, and we've heard athletes talk a lot more about the achievement of making the Olympics.
Oh, for sure. Yep.
In a way that, particularly in America, we are not good with. And on our channel, we've talked about the Weight of Gold documentary. And Apollo Ono has a great quote in it where he said, like, you know, it's gold and then what? Like, if you don't win gold in America, what you've not done anything. And so it's a good reminder, I think, Cool Runnings. Maybe we should show it to some people at the at the USOC and at NBC to remind them that, like, it is a remarkable accomplishment to make it to the Olympics. To medal is a remarkable accomplishment.
Somebody said like Simone Biles only won a bronze. I was like, fuck yourself right off.
Excuse me. And like part of it was the women's team celebrating silver in a way that is countercultural to the way the United States usually celebrates things. But for them to be like, we came out of this like really difficult situation with our teammate withdrawing because of a health and a mental health issue. And we persevered, and look at us, we scraped silver out of this.
It's like
that's amazing.
The end of Bring It On, where they're like, second place, hell yeah!
Right, instant Bring It On. So we need movies like this to remind us that, like, the top of the podium isn't the goal. And it's a remarkable achievement not to take gold medals away from anybody,
and even if it is the goal, it's not the only valid one.
It's not the only valid one, and there's more you can take from it. So we thank Cool Runnings for its service as per usual. I do want to watch it again because I legit haven't seen it in probably 2 decades. But the next film we'll be talking about, we'll do a little role reversal. I've seen it 19,000 times. It is the, I believe, 2004 film Miracle.
And in between those two things, we're going to give you a dose of seriousness. Yeah. So you're getting serious Disney, serious and Disney. So the next Disney extravaganza we'll be talking about, we'll be asking the question if you believe in miracles.
That's right.
See you then.
Bye.